Hi, I'm Tim Carter, AskTheBuilder.com, and day 3 of the Carpentry has happened. And there was a little bit of a delay. They didn't show up after the second day. Then we had a little bit of rain. So they didn't get a whole lot done, but they've got something done. So we're going to take a look at it. Remember, I'm not building this home. If you see any mistakes, they're not mine. And I hope you discover something new in this video where I can share some of my knowledge. And remember, everybody does things differently. Just because I don't like something, that doesn't mean that it's a wrong way to do it. You know, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, right? So if you do discover something new, and you want me to make more videos for you faster, then all you have to do is click that thanks text link underneath the video and be as generous as you can, and I will do my best to make as many videos as possible. Let's go take a look at what got accomplished. Well, for starters, they have got this massive wall done, and I don't know, this is starting to look more like a commercial building than a house to me. But and they got a lot of sheathing up, and they haven't taped it all. But once again, we had some bad weather here, so and they got, you know, part of the other second-story walls on, and let's go up and take a look at those, see what we see. I'm up here on the dance floor, and it's pretty interesting. We can actually start to see now some of the things that are going on. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. I've got something really cool to show you here in just a second. Number one, once again, they're making the same mistake, in my opinion, as they made downstairs. We've got this window header here. That opening's maybe less than 6 feet. All right, well, that means you only need one jack stud here. All right, not two. You're wasting material. And I'm sure they're going to pack that with 2 more 2x10s. That's a mistake. What should have happened, here's how we would frame this now. I'm glad they've only got one in. Back in my day, we would cut a piece of 2-inch solid core foam that's the exact same size as the 2x10 and put it in right now. And then on top of that, we would put another 1/2-inch piece of foam. And it can either be the Thermax with a foil facing, or it could just be regular closed cell foam as well. And then that would leave you 1.5 inches of space to put in the final 2x10, which would be flush, you know, with this surface here. You know, up here would be flush with this surface. So that's how we would do it. And then you would end up with lots of insulation up above the window. Same mistake down here. They've got the double sill. Total waste. Totally not necessary. It's just a huge waste of material. We've already seen this before. In an earlier video, I showed you all of the bracing that was in this part of the second story. But look at this. Check this out. There's going to be a room upstairs. And based on what I can see here with this rim joist, they're going to continue putting these truss joists all over, you know, over my head. And they are going to go all the way around to here because you can see the rim joist that's there. So there's going to be a big room up above here. Isn't that interesting? I mean, that thing is going to be so far up in the air. In fact, I can't believe it got past the zoning, because typically the maximum height off the grade below 35 feet. Boy, they're going to be, can't wait to see what it's going to be up there. So yeah, we got a floor going in above us here. Very fascinating. This is kind of an interesting view looking from the second floor down. Well, actually where it's going to be to the inside of the garage, all right? And here, get this. This is going to be a doorway. This is a doorway right here. And you're going to walk from the garage through this doorway into the house, all right? That's one way to get in. And you know, at least from the upper level of the garage. But look at this. I want you to see this. This is what's going to be so interesting. So remember, I told you from an earlier video that the garage slab is going to sit on top of the concrete at these notches. All right, so that is the bottom of the concrete slab. That means if you project that line around, this seam in the concrete right here, in the concrete forms, that's that same line. So what is this concrete floor in the garage going to rest upon? There's nothing here. There are no haunches. There's nothing. If they were going to put a beam in, some type of a steel I-beam, I would have expected to see over here a beam pocket, you know, a recess that would have been cast in the concrete. I don't see any beam pocket. It's just such a mystery to me. And once again, since there are no plans for me to look at, I can't tell you what's going to happen. But hopefully in the next few weeks, we're going to get to see it. But I cannot wait to see how they're going to support that floor. I wanted to talk a little bit more about this mistake of overdriving the sheathing nails and the zip sheathing. And in an earlier video, I showed you the instructions from what zip sheathing says. That the nails are supposed to be flush, the head is supposed to be flush with the surface. So here's a problem. If the way this system is designed, you need to understand, and see all this sawdust, this is where the water from the rain the other day washed over like a waterfall, all right? So this water was pouring down over this zip sheathing. Now, it's designed that this plastic coating protects the OSB from rotting out, all right? And what happens is this tape protects the seams, you know, from, you know, where two pieces are together. All right, great. And that's all well and good as long as the adhesive never fails. All right, but what happens, what happens on, this happens to be the south wall, all right? So this is the south wall of the house. How many heating, cooling contractions over the life of this house is this wall going to see where the sun bakes this wall? This tape expands a little bit, contracts, expands, contracts, expands, contracts, expands, contracts. And at what point does the adhesive just let go, all right? You've seen that with old packing tape up in your attic, right? You've seen packing tape on your grandmother's boxes that doesn't stick anymore. All right, well, that's going to happen with this. I just don't know when. Here, let's get back to these nails. Now, the problem is you can see that the OSB is exposed. So when water comes down here, and remember, this system is designed that they feel it's okay for water to get on this. So if water leaks behind the brick or water leaks behind the vinyl siding or whatever's on here, they don't care. They don't care. Except, what's going to happen when the water hits that? It's going to start to rot this out, all right? And it's going to cause more rot over time, and then that nail eventually is going to let go, all right? So that's why this is a problem. I mean, and it's everywhere. All these nails are just overdriven everywhere, all right? They're just overdriven. I mean, look at all of them. It's like a disease. I'm down here on the first level, and they put some plates down, which is kind of interesting. They're framing this completely different from how I would do it. All right, so, but we can start to see where things are going to be. And remember, this was the master bedroom. And this is going to be the master bathroom. This is going to be another tiny bedroom back here. Crazy. All right, crazy. This is the mechanical room right here. And that's brand new. That is the microwave that this is going to be a bathroom, by the way. And this is a microwave that the carpenters use to heat their lunch. That's a good idea. I don't know why I never did that. Should have brought a microwave to the job site. And of course, this is going to be the mechanical room, you know, where the boiler is going to be and all of that. All right, so you can see that. But we would have built these walls on the ground flat. We would have had the bottom plates nailed to the, we would have nailed through the wall studs through the bottom of the plates, and then we would have tilted the walls up. And the way you do it is you go to tilt it up. You have to tilt it up inside one of these cavities, and then you have to slide the wall around to where it goes. All right, so now what they have to do, they've got to toenail the wall studs into these plates. I don't think that that's as good a way to do it. And but once again, that's the way I do things. And just because I do it that way doesn't mean it's the only way. Day 3 is in the record books, and they've got a lot accomplished. They may have been here 2 days, but it was raining. I didn't come out, and also I was a little under the weather myself. But I'm caught up now, and I think the biggest takeaway for me is, wow, there's going to be like a 3rd story up on this. Or, well, they may consider it a 2nd story because they've got the basement level, 1st floor level, and then that 2nd level. But wow, I wish I could get my hands on a set of the plans, is all I can tell you. Cannot wait to see what this place is going to look like. We'll have more hopefully this week. They're starting to run out of really great weather, and they need to really, really get moving here, in my opinion, to get this thing enclosed. And my goal would be, just so you know, is no matter where you're building, in some areas of the United States, I realize it, you've got good weather almost all year. But in certain places, like the Midwest, the Northeast, and to a large degree the Northwest, boy, once winter hits, it's ugly. It's very ugly. And in my situation, I would always want to have the house completely enclosed. I mean, and I'm talking the siding on, the entire outside finished. Windows in, siding on, roof on, of course. I would want to have all that done by the middle of October, which is right now. All right, so they've got a long way to go here. I'm here to tell you that just, 12 years ago, it snowed 14 inches of that white stuff on Halloween Eve. So it can snow at any time here in New Hampshire, all right? We'll see what happens. Remember, if you need help on your job, I do phone coaching. Happy to save you thousands and thousands of dollars. It all too often, people like you, unfortunately, you call me, you reach out to me after the problem has happened. And then it's so hard to fix it. It's so expensive. Why not talk to me before you start the job so I can tell you all the things to look out for? Seriously, have you ever thought about that? And if you discovered something new in the video, make sure you click the thanks text link just below the video. That allows me to make more videos for you faster. I'm Tim Carter, AskTheBuilder.com.
If you want to discover more home improvement tips, go to AskTheBuilder.com.